another topic around this space is the center of excellence. And so definitely wanted to pick your brain a little bit about that topic because one, for there's a center of excellence in everything. And so Power Platform, of course, has its own version and there's 20 other versions. But how would you say your team at KP really either organized as the COE, kind of complemented it, maybe, was a hybrid version? How would you kind of qualify those lines? And if your team really served in the COE role or if there's a difference there?
Yeah, so I had an engineering lead on my team that was really responsible for the purview of the Power Platform, Power Apps in particular. And, in full transparency, so there's Power Apps out of the box, and then there's Power Apps with premium connectors. And, especially coming out of COVID, healthcare is really taxed for dollars, and that was extremely impactful on healthcare companies. And so having access to premium connectors which really elevates, what the Power Platform can do in terms of applications, wasn't something that we had dollars for, and most of the business didn't have dollars for. And so part of what we had decided early on was that we really needed a center of excellence because the number of objects that were in our environment, in our tenant, was kind of growing exponentially. And, if you don't have governance around those things, there's security risks, there's PHI, PII risks, all of that kind of thing. And so when we looked at the full depth and breadth of the center of excellence around Power Platform that Microsoft had, we felt like there were things that just weren't necessarily applicable to our user base. And so the primary component of what we brought in was the nurture component. And, we had a number of power users in our environment, people that were really well mobilized to use the technology effectively, streamline and optimize their workflows, and share that, around departments or business units. And so, the other thing that is really important and makes Power Platform cost effective is to try and capture that so that you've got reusable assets. And so that was another driver for, the COE.
What would be your sense of how a COE organizes to kind of support those types of grassroots initiatives, right? Someone empowering themselves to build something for themselves without putting it on IT. But how do you think a COE should organize or strategize on that? Because like you said, you want to empower them to do that, but also you want to catch them to recognize that, 40 of you are doing the same thing. What are the tactics there, do you think, or, suggestions for how to kind of catch it while also enable, right? It almost seems like a paradox in that way, but.
Yeah, it is. Because you want to give people enough leeway that they use the tools and they utilize them, but you also want to have enough governance that you don't end up with an ecosystem that's just a graveyard where 15 different things have been built, and maybe somebody is sort of testing their knowledge and skill set, and then they realize that they can't actually get it over the threshold where it would be used. And so the governance part of it is extremely important from that perspective, because it you can set up your Power Platform in a way that users literally can't do certain things. So I would say, the governance on the front end of that from IT is extremely important. I think on the business side, the community aspect is really important. And I think for people to keep sharing, almost having like, I can't remember what the feature's called, but where your public there's a publication of assets, right? Of things that people are building. And then people are voting on those things and going, yeah, we need that too. And so it's ranking itself. And then when users are coming into your COE and they're like, this is the business problem that I'm trying to solve, there's somebody else in the community that says, oh, go look in that library because somebody might have already built that. And so then that's where those relationships really become important, because then you've got a new user that's reaching out to somebody that is a power user already, that's built a solution for that same business problem. And, between the curriculum, the community, and then these personal relationships that end up developing from those things, people are really, their paradigm of learning is pretty quick, and they end up being able to utilize it in a way that's really meaningful.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.